Welcome to the podcast, Jessica Robinson. Thank you for taking the time to be here with me today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. No, you have a company called Affiliate Marketing Partners, right?
Mhm.
And AMP. It's pretty specific. What you do is you partner with. When I first found your company, I was scouring through LinkedIn looking for potential podcast guests, and I wanted to speak to affiliate marketing companies that would partner up with clients. And your name's pretty specific. It's like that's exactly what you do.
Yeah.
And
That's really cool. Yeah.
yeah, partner with clients. So like I know you have a specialism, like you focus on specific areas. It's not just like any company out there. It's like you focus on, was it now the financial and the fintech space? Could you give us a bit of a background as to what your company is and what type of affiliate marketing? There's influencer style, there's just go link gathering. Could you give us a bit of an idea of like what you, I guess, specialize in?
Yeah, sure. So because of my background, which we can get in later, the AMP or affiliate marketing partners really does specialize in the fintech and finance space. We are hoping to expand beyond that, but our current partner set is very much in that space. And because of that, the types of partners that we work with, we narrow down the focus because finance and fintech is a heavily regulated space. So there's a lot to consider when you're setting up a partnership. There's a lot of compliance concerns. We need to make sure that folks are saying the right things about us. We can't just kind of open the floodgates to everyone. Now, depending on the partner that we're working with, they'll be more open to different traffic sources. But yeah, we are very much focused on the finance fintech background, and so that can lend itself into the content space. There's a lot of really strong folks in the content space. We haven't done too much in influencer, starting to kind of dip our toe in there. But I would say like the bread and butter is probably content, comparison and review. And then, of course, the media buyer, media arbitrage space.
Okay. Well, all right. So there's a couple of things that you said there. I'm like, I know about, especially when it comes to like you're working in a regulated environment. You're not selling, you know, it's like you speak to a lot of different companies like e-commerce brands. It's like whoever and anyone, right? So like let's just get anyone who has an audience and they can go plug our product. And if they want to get a bit specific, they want to make sure their audience is aligned. If we're talking about an influencer, right? And then equally when it comes to like blogs and just like placements online, they just want to kind of get some idea of whether or not there's some kind of an alignment with their lists or their traffic. But then, to be honest, if you actually work with a lot of these e-commerce brands, they'll just send it. Like as long as you can get their link up somewhere, they'll be okay with it.
Right.
And it's why for the majority, a lot of them do just end up in those like marketplaces, like JV affiliate and share a sale and the various others, because it's like it's kind of easy to do, and people are shopping there. They're shopping different affiliate options and they're looking. But financial products is a different kettle of fish, and I know that because it's different. Because there are regulations. There's things you can say, as you said, and there's things you cannot say. And also, if you end up working with an affiliate partner, they are an extension of that company's communication, and so therefore they have to be compliant because they're at risk. Because if they start because there are so many laws and regulations like to do with mis-selling, and like it could be a mistake, it could be an accident, but regardless, if some person purchases a financial product instrument on the back of misleading information, there's a lot of people that can get sued or catch a civil suit, maybe even a criminal suit in that sort of scenario. So it's really important.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of like a real world example of that. So if an affiliate is promoting, say, a credit card, and they accidentally have the wrong interest rate, the wrong APR listed on their site, and somebody clicks through that site, signs up for that credit card, and they screenshot it and they show the marketing, they can go back to Chase or Amex or whatever credit card they went to, and they can get that APR. So the credit card company has to honor the APR that's on that site, even though in their system, they're no longer offering that APR. So it does have ramifications.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I've seen, and there are a lot of affiliate programs with credit card companies. I've noticed. I mean,
yeah, huge.
Yeah. Open a Credit Karma app. I mean, just open that app. Just scroll down. I mean, look, that's just the example that I see a lot. And by the way, if we just sidebar tangent, if we just talk about that app as an example of a company that operates as basically an affiliate company. I mean, that's pretty much what they have, an API that allows them to provide a credit score, which, by the way, is an easy API to get. Anybody can pay for that API. Just
Right.
you pay Experience and Equifax, and they'll give you the little friggin' code, the line of code that you can dump onto your website. Say, hey, we can give you a credit score. It's going to cost you, but you can offer it for free.
Right.
And then so when people are in, now they've got this little number that they can use, and then Credit Karma's done a fantastic job of like curating products for you. But it does win though, because it gets a lot of people. Clearly, the billion-dollar company.
Oh yeah, that's the thing with the finance space. When you're talking about affiliates in the finance space, oftentimes you're talking about billion-dollar companies, right? NerdWallet is an affiliate, right?
Yeah.
Like Credit Karma is an affiliate. I mean, these are large organizations. So when you're talking about an affiliate, I mean, of course, there's smaller financial sites that are out there, but for the most part, there's a lot. We're talking about very large organizations, not just like a fly by night or a smaller blogger or something like that. So it's an interesting space.
It's massive. It's crazy when you start looking at the amount of money that flows through those affiliate programs too. Like when you want to if you want to start making comparables, I think the only one that I think, and I wish I had some stats here. And you know what? I wish I'd written these stats down, but I can tell you at least figuratively like where they stand. I think second to like the Credit Karmas of the world is like the Booking.com or Expedia, all right? Because people are buying like hotel, like they're, if you're talking about volume and the amount of affiliate links floating around and the access, I think they come in, they rank second, but not because of higher price points. It's just because of the sheer volume. They just get more. But whereas Credit Karma and like you said, what was the other one you mentioned there? It was NerdWallet. Yeah, so they have not, you've got a lot more money. So when people, I've seen the different types of plans out there. Like you pick up a credit card, load it with $100 a minimum, and the affiliate can actually receive the $100, sign-on fee. Like so that's a pretty significant, thank you from.
Yeah, I will say it is I know we're going down like the credit card path right now. There's a lot of different folks that are in the finance fintech space, but credit card specifically, it is highly, highly competitive space. So when we're talking to these affiliates, $100 isn't even going to get you in the door in terms of a payout. So some of the payouts for, especially the larger credit card company, I mean, we're talking up to thousands. Sometimes if we're targeting the right set, if we have like the right quality that's coming through, it's a very lucrative space, but it's also again a very competitive space. So a lot of those affiliates, they either drive traffic through organic or through paid search. And I mean, even in the paid search space, you're talking $80 per click on credit card terms, right? So it behooves a brand to work with some of these partners because, they're already in the space, they're already winning those auctions. And so you want to have a share of voice on that page for your card, but it's not a cheap space to be in.
Yeah.
Right? You need to plan accordingly. So
yeah, and I lasered in on credit card just because as a consumer, that's my experience when it comes to 100%. Products in the financial or fintech space. But what other kinds of types of companies do you work for? You don't have to say names, but like types of.
So I mean, my portfolio specifically really spans the gamut. So I'm working with everything from folks that are targeting subprime users, and by subprime I mean folks that have lower credit scores, lower means, all the way up to accredited investors, which are high net worth individuals. So that's their target audience. It really kind of spans the gamut, and it's everywhere from debt settlement or cash advance up to investing tools. And my largest client is Western Union. They're in the international money transfer space. So that's been a really fun one to work on because it can kind of straddle what your traditional finance program,
they sorry to interject. I know Western Union and actually a lot of, and I'm from London, right? So I don't know if you've ever been to like the city, the square mile here. Like, okay. So Western Union and a lot of the other Forex businesses. So we're talking, I mean, there are tons. There's so many, like something. It's like name FX. Everyone's a Forex trader over here, right? So it's like England doesn't have any exports, man. We just do services. So if there's one thing that they're good at is like setting up like, okay, if there's money in FX, then we're going to set up an FX company.
Right.
So there was a lot here. And so I actually, in my early career, I actually partnered up, and I would be signing on as an introducer for a lot of these companies, where we'd be
Mhm.
bringing them people who would be trading. They would be actively like, it wouldn't just be people who just want to exchange money. It would be like traders who want to trade
Sure.
platforms, trade currencies, on their platforms. Or then we'd start looking for like higher ticket conversions, right? So like we're talking like $100 million plus, like
Mhm.
trying to get yen into like euro dollar or whatever, something like that. And of
Yeah.
course we'll get like the fourth pip on the transaction as an introducer, but we'd have all these. I remember signing up with them and we'd get all these affiliate lingo stuff. This, like, the word affiliate would pop up and I didn't even know what the hell that was. It was like, what, this affiliate? I thought I was an introducer. And then I'm
Right.
getting all these links that I need to send out to people. I'm like, but it was like how they would track everything, because everything was tied to their actual platform.
Mhm.
So I know Western Union has a very strong one, especially for their commercial side, because they have about 1 million introducers out there finding business for them, to use their platform to actually conduct those trades. Is that what it is that you kind of
So
have
it's a
you
little
worked
bit
there as
different. So
well?
there's definitely that network, but what we're working with is really across what we would consider more like traditional affiliate partnerships when you look at this space. So it's probably one of my only brands that actually does operate in like a coupon deal loyalty space, because people are looking for definitely the best rates. They want some kind of promotion to choose us over one of the competitors. So you do get to work with more traditional affiliates. We are also talking to some folks in the lead gen and media buyer space, talking to some emailers that have traffic for this. There's the opportunity to do more out of the box things with Western Union, just given the brand size. And one thing that came up recently, which I thought was really interesting, was this is the first time I've ever worked with them. I literally just had a call with them yesterday. It's a company called Open Sponsorship, where they work with athletes. So you leveraging the affiliate rails, we would be able to get Western Union promotion with athletes, which is really timely because we have one of the largest international sporting events coming up next month within the Olympics, right? So when we're talking about international money transfers, all of those affiliates all of those athletes besides the French ones will be out of their country. So it's a really good opportunity to talk about like sending money back home. But it's a non-traditional affiliate type of relationship that we're able to set up because of the sheer size of the brand of Western Union.
Yeah.
I will say that is outside of the norm for the fintech finance space.
Hmm.
We typically have like a closer ring fence on some of the stuff that we do, but I think that kind of segues into another issue that you typically see, another challenge, I should say, with finance brands. Um, they're careful with who they partner with. So us being able to leverage the rails of an affiliate program to stand up something like an athlete sponsorship really kind of helps us get through that vendor onboarding process, get through that contracting process, because it all lives within your typical affiliate rails, your affiliate terms and conditions, your affiliate links, your affiliate payouts. It makes it a little bit easier for somebody like me to make an impact outside of your just traditional affiliate.
Yeah, it's almost like you're becoming like an agent, where you have to start considering like brand ambassadors, because it's like you can't just look at either people or even like websites as just a means to access certain traffic. It's like I now need to factor in, is there, beyond alignment, is that, are they going to follow the rules? Can
Right.
does this company actually want to work with them? What's their criteria? It's almost like they before it was just get our message out. Now it's like, well, here's a description of the avatar we're looking for when it comes to places we want to have our links.
Yeah.
And it's like a recruitment process. You have to, like, it's like it's like you're looking for candidates, potentials, and you bring it back to source and say, okay, which one do you want?
Yeah.
What kind of offer structure are we going to offer these people? Because I'm not sure if they're going to take it, because you are in a very competitive space. I feel like the fintech finance, it's taken affiliate marketing to a bigger, like a different level.
Yeah.
If you Google affiliate marketing, and the reason why I'm doing these podcasts as well specifically about affiliate marketing is, my business Distro Channels, that's a business that focuses on finding the people, places, and things. So it's not necessarily affiliates. We're just building up distribution networks. So it's, yes, there is affiliate is part of it, but also, like I mentioned earlier about introducers, we'll find the people, the places, the things. So the people being influencers who may not always be as professional as you want them, but then there are also thought leaders, which might actually be relevant to your space, like people who are actual professionals. You wouldn't necessarily find them on Instagram, although they may have an Instagram account, but you'd probably communicate with them through LinkedIn, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have like places, and that would be where you would say, if you were looking at different, businesses that have traffic. So we're talking, websites in a traditional fashion when it comes to affiliate marketing, but also companies that already have access to the customers that you want. So pre-existing current customers that they can directly market to in an email campaign, for instance, like solo ads. So that's like where you can kind of integrate your marketing if it's just an integrated marketing campaign. But then there's also like joint venture agreements you can do as well. Like, hey, let's do something a little bit more structured where we form more of a strategic relationship. And then you have the things, right? So you start looking at like all the products that people would use before, during, and after the thing that you're trying to sell, because all the customers for those things could technically be customers for you too. So it's kind of like, how do we rope them into and form another type of a strategic relationship, like upsells, drop sells, that kind of thing. And so that's what I did with like Distro channels. And also Distro List, my software platform, which is like an influencer marketing platform, where people can, it's essentially an influencer library. People can go there and find influencers that they could potentially work with. So I'm kind of like in that business, but I'm not really specific with what would be known as the traditional affiliate marketing model, which is like just going out and like, go building up the old backlinks and starting from scratch in those ways. But what you say about like the specific market sector that you're involved with, it sounds like very professional. It's much more professional than some of the other conversations I've had with people, like I've said, who are just who operate in the e-commerce space. And so why don't we talk about like the differences of the type of role when it comes to affiliate marketing? Because it is different. Like, finance is different. E-commerce is different. Then you've got like the hotel scene. Like, what would you say is like the biggest like challenge that would, or let's say, what would you say is the biggest barrier to your like people being effective in your job right now?
Yeah, I think there's, well, first of all, finding the right people to talk to. I think that's in general throughout the affiliate space. But when you're talking about a narrowed focus that finance or fintech kind of creates, there's a ton of really great sites out there, but it's really hard to find the people that manage them. It's really hard to find the right people to partner with. So making sure that you have the right network, that's always a challenge across affiliates, but particularly in the finance space. And just to bring it back to what you were saying about your company, joint ventures or partnering with like industries is a huge opportunity in this space. Like, for instance, if we were able to work with financial advisors for our investing platform, they could then promote that to their one-to-one client base. That's not going to show this like huge spike in conversions all the time, but it's a steady stream of high intent individuals that we would certainly pay on a referral basis for, right? So like that's a really interesting idea of a partnership. But I would say definitely finding the right folks, being competitive on payout. So it is a competitive space. Some of the spaces are a little bit more saturated than others. Like I mentioned, I work with some subprime clients. One of my clients is in the debt settlement space. There's a lot of folks that are in debt settlement or debt relief, especially right now, given the environment that we're in economically. So you'll see people that are larger companies that are just willing to pay really, really high CPLs, cost per leads, that might eke out some of the smaller players in this space. And then there's also the flat fee scenarios that you get in a lot of times if you want to get promotion on certain sites, right? Like if you want to work with money.com, it's a great site to work with. There's a lot of really high intent traffic. And because of that, the cost sometimes to get in, the cost of entry to get there is, you have to pay a flat fee up front to get onto those kind of types of sites. So that's definitely
That can be expensive. That flat fee,
very expensive.
yeah, because like, let's just not brush over that, because people don't recognize when people think, oh, I want to be an affiliate marketer. I'm like, slow, like some like, and they pick a space, and I'm like, and then we're just going to pay them a little money to like get on there. It's like this, it doesn't work. Like some of those flat fees are ginormous. Like I remember we worked with Bloomberg, and like my initial just to set things up with them was 50 grand.
Yeah, I just got a proposal for 75K, and I was like, well, what else can we do here?
Yeah.
What's an easier way to get in there? And it's tough because it's especially tough for somebody in my position or somebody who's managing this in-house, because you're preaching at the end of the day, hey, this is a pay-per-performance channel. This should be a really high ROAS channel. And then you're like, but can I have $75,000 to get on this site? So it's kind of a tough argument to make sometimes. But I will say the benefit, though, still, of even with these flat fees, it's normally a one-time fee or like an activation fee or to get you on the site kind of deal. And then you have this awesome evergreen placement that sure you're paying on a CPL or a CPA or whatever model you've set up with that partner. But that flat fee isn't just like a one-time posting and it goes away. Like it lives on these sites for as long as the partnership does.
Yeah, so, I think with Bloomberg, I think it was 50 grand. I think I can't remember if that was I think it was a year.
Okay.
It was like a setup fee, and then I could be on there for a year.
Yeah. You want to know where a lot of these came up? I would say, so they've always existed, especially with some of the media publishers, because media publishers didn't traditionally operate in the affiliate space, and then they needed to find a way to monetize because they had this traffic and they weren't able to monetize it. It's an industry that's currently hurting, right? But a lot of this really popped up across all different types of affiliates during COVID. And I blame marketing departments for that, because people were starting to strip. Nobody really knew what was going to happen in the beginning. So a lot of people's marketing spend was really volatile at the time. So they would pull back from some higher payout in the funnel type campaigns, like a CPM campaign or a flat fee in another channel. And then they would move it all to affiliates, and affiliates were getting a good amount of spend, and they were starting to realize that they could charge for this, right? Like they do have valuable traffic, they do have this high intent traffic. People are obviously willing to pay for it. Where the marketing departments were like, well, this is a safe channel because it's a return on ad spend, and so let's just put our money there. And I feel like within the last 4 years or so, we started to see really an uptick in these flat fee or these integration fees and onboarding fees, like the pay to play, just pay to get your foot in the door model.
Yeah, I think because you're absolutely right. Like it was big before, and it's even bigger now. I mean, podcasts like this, conversations on this particular topic are starting to crop up more and more often now. I mean, I've got an eyeball on the space. I mean, if you type in affiliate marketing, you're still going to be met with 1,500 videos on how you can quit your 9 to 5 and make $1 million being an affiliate marketer. Like there's not much there when we're talking about this type of role, which is the more structured approach to affiliate marketing, where you actually represent a business, or you are, you go in. This is the real affiliate marketing. This isn't like I'm going to quit my job and I'm just going to get a bunch of links from Gucci and then make a Pinterest.
Every time I tell people I'm in affiliate marketing, they think that I'm selling some e-course or something from like a TikTok ad, and I'm like,
yeah, like it's like a hairbreadth away from like network marketing. Like you might as well say you work for Herbalife. Yeah. Like, it's, but listen, nothing against MLM businesses. I had a very long conversation with somebody about MLMs, just a sidebar.
Okay.
People throw tomatoes at those, rotten tomatoes at those all the time. Like, oh my God, you're working for a pyramid scheme. It's not a pyramid. There are illegal pyramid schemes. And then there is like friggin' Amway, who's been around since 1888 or something.
Yeah,
like it's been around longer than you've been alive. Just so you know, they're not a pyramid scheme. They're an MLM, and they apply Herbalife was 1980, so was like another. Like these things have been around for a very long time. They actually have decent products. It's just the people who sign up to them. A lot of them are not very professional about how they conduct themselves. They start handing out, business cards at like weddings and stuff, and and they start giving it a bad name with their little commission breath. But there is, and by the way, network marketing feeds a lot into like the affiliate world in terms of how people are now packaging their products, because self-publishing with social media platforms. People are starting to build their own audience, and they want to start like creating little funnels where they can kind of bundle products together so they can differentiate themselves with the other network marketing company or person in the same company. I think I saw it was 6.4 million people work for Amway right now in
Wow.
America. 6.4 million, 4.5 million for Herbalife. Avon's 4.5, around the same number too. If you add them all up, you're looking at around, we'll put it this way. If the American population is 300 million, like if you add all these MLM network marketers together, we're looking at around like 40 something million. It's like, hang on, this is like 20% of the population works for an MLM. And this is after COVID. This is last year and this year's results.
That's wild to
So
me.
that is crazy. But like, I mean, I thought, let me just draw that comparison, because people throw stones and throw tomatoes at affiliate marketers too. But it can get very, very complex, because you do start structuring bigger deals when you have to start. Look, if you're representing $1 million, $1 billion company, and they're saying, hey, look, we need to drive traffic from an outbound sales team, an outside sales team, essentially. We have our inside sales, and now we need a ton of other people out there directing customers to us. So it's a very strategic position to be in. You're now having to think of every possible location where this message could be deployed, but now you have to follow certain rules and regulations. And these aren't just like little rules and little regulations. These can land you in a lot of hot water problem. Like, so you were talking about financial claims, you're talking about promises of anything to do with financial infrastructure. So that's a big deal. And that does push a lot of people out.
Not to interrupt you, but beyond that, there is the claims. Obviously, the FTC governs a lot of marketing, and it is included here too. But in the financial space, there's a lot of consumer protection, as there should be, right? So when you're talking to an affiliate, like there are things that if you aren't trained in this space, you can get into a lot of hot water. Like, for instance, the Fair Lending Act, right? If you have an affiliate or a media buyer that is targeting certain zip codes or certain genders or age brackets, that's highly illegal to put a financial product in and not include a more general audience, right? Like, we know that certain people with certain FICO bands or certain age groups, they do tend to perform better on this product, but you cannot hide that product from the rest of the population. It needs to be equally available across the board, and people need to be able to see the marketing for that, or else your brand can get into a lot of hot water.
Yeah. And when you're looking at different affiliate markets, it's like, okay, so we're talking about targeting and demographic here. So you start looking for places like, where can I perform best so I can make money on this? And also show like the right kind of KPIs to the company that's asked me to do this. And then also it's like, it's making sure that the message and making sure that the message is exactly what company wants it to be. Like, companies like, and this is where I think it's your job as like this go-between, right? With your business, it's like, you've now got to let everybody know, here's what you can say and here's what you cannot say.
Yeah.
Okay, because you make certain guarantees. It's like selling any investment. Like, you can't just say, oh, and this will give you assured earnings of 20%. And like, you can't say that. You have to,
the regulators' heads will explode. You can't say stuff like that.
The usual.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because prior to starting AMP, I was PayPal's global head of affiliates for their user acquisition activities. And PayPal is a highly conservative brand when it comes to privacy. They're very protective of consumer protections there, which is great for a brand, but really hard for a marketer. So when we were trying to get stuff out the door, we'd have to go through the legal compliance teams. We would also have to go through any bank partners' legal compliance teams. And as you can imagine, with a company that size, with them being more conservative leaning in terms of like the way that they view privacy and compliance, and then having to also go through like a traditional bank, the timeline of from when the content's written to when it goes out the door, we're not talking a week, right? We're talking a long time. So it's definitely managing the relationships over that review period as well, which is
and it's like, and making sure you get paid, the whole like pricing your. I mean, so I actually want to switch to like your journey as well, like because that as an example, like this is where a lot of people can find themselves in a bit of a death trap when it comes to a company standpoint. Like, just they'll sign up with a company and they'll be met with that exact problem where a company has this internal procedure where you have to have 3 copywriters look at it, 4 different managers, then it's got to go up to the legal team, and they're going to get to it when they get to it. And it's like, and you're like, well, can I start making some money on this? Like,
Right.
or you've priced yourself incorrectly, and you're like, okay, I didn't charge enough because you guys are taking the PISS. It's like,
Right.
and it happens. And I think so. Let's talk about like the journey, the entrepreneurialism, like your journey getting into like the setting up the business that you like. What made you do that? Setting up the company that you did. Why you chose this market? I think we kind of know like that stems from experience, but like. Let's just talk about that for a second and some of the challenges, because I know that's a big place. Because when people talk to me about, hey, I want to essentially be an affiliate I want to set my own affiliate marketing company, because they're looking at it as if it's kind of like, it's easy to do. I'm like, well, have you ever, I always like liken it, like, it's very much the same as setting up a recruitment company, right? You're dealing with a lot of different personalities, and you're
Yes.
dealing with, and sometimes there's a longer time horizon than you might be able to fund. You need carry costs. It can take a while sometimes. And it can be just the same in affiliate marketing. So let's talk about your backstory, Jessica. Like, why did you even get involved with this, and how did you go about setting it all up?
Yeah, strap in. So, so you mentioned personalities, a lot of different personalities. I actually, when I left college years ago, I was in the music industry, and I was working with a lot of agents and a lot of musicians. So talk about managing personalities, right? Like I had a lot of experience managing personalities in that space. I quickly moved on from there, and I was very early 20s. I was working at like a call center, and they had an opening in it was called affiliate marketing administrator. So I Googled what affiliate marketing was the night before my interview, got the job, kind of landed myself in this space. And that's really where I started learning. And I learned that a lot of the music industry experience really helped out here because of the different personality types. The joke was that, people would hear me on the floor talking to different affiliates, and they were like, you have so many personality changes depending on who you're talking to. You have to talk to folks different way and, meet them where they are. So I got my start really on a direct to consumer brand there, moved to a B2B SaaS platform, managed their affiliate program there along with a couple of other channels. And then probably the largest program before PayPal was right after that. I managed QVC's affiliate program. So very big in the retail e-com space. That's where I got
QVC is still big. I'm like, I was surprised.
humongous.
I thought they died. off. I'm like,
I was, the joke there was that like I shouldn't say this, but the audience was, we needed to replace the audience, right? Like there's a very target audience for QVC, and they are an aging population. So trying to get new folks in the door was definitely always a focus there. So, managed that program, and then moved to PayPal, where I started obviously working on financial products. Was in the lending space there for a while, managed an affiliate program for that, and then saw an opportunity to centralize the user acquisition affiliate work that we had there. So pitched that idea internally and took over the lead, managing that globally for the team.
How did that, just to just interject there, like how did that, like a lot of people find themselves in affiliate marketing exactly how you described it. They kind of fall into it. It's like a manager will pick like an executive assistant or just an aspiring, like you said, like telesales call center person, like just someone who has a little bit of like personality, and they say, hey, why don't you run the affiliate program for my business? Because it's like this afterthought, and it's like, well, let me just find some meatware to do this. Like who have I got available? Like, can you do it? And it's like, that's how they kind of look at it. A lot of, even today, a lot of like small to medium businesses will hire, they'll just convert an executive assistant into the role. It's like, but there's also, but then
agencies come in, and agencies really help. So
what'd you say?
I said that's where the agencies come in, and the agencies can really help for people that don't really have the background, don't really know necessarily how.
But that's it, because this has become, it's gone beyond an afterthought now. This is now a specialism. It's not just somebody who is either like hiding in a closet somewhere who just knows how to do stuff online, or someone you just convert to the role in the office. Now it's actually a specialized role. Even in fact, if you look on, and it's how actually we found each other. Like I was looking at like, and by the way, this is a really good hack for finding companies that are active right now in the affiliate space or any space. It doesn't matter what business you're in. Find out the ones who are hiring. It's a bit of a good strategy. If they're hiring, that means they're doing something right. Okay. So, you start looking at the options available just on job boards like LinkedIn Jobs, and you start looking at the salaries that are being paid, and it's gone from a 25 to 45,000 range role
Mhm.
to now something I'm looking at base salaries now, 150 $250,000 as a baseline. I'm like, hang on a sec, there's nothing. And I'm looking in there to see if there's anything to do with influencers. It's just affiliate marketing. It's not marketing director, it's affiliate marketing director or
Well,
affiliate marketing manager.
consider that for some brands, affiliates drive 20% of their paid traffic, right? So, I mean, it's a big percentage. That's a big percentage for when you're talking about, millions of dollars. So yeah, they're worth their weight in gold. If you can find a good affiliate manager, I mean, folks that know who the right players are in the space, like that's the biggest barrier to entry. A lot of times affiliate managers get hired, to use an old term, for their Rolodex, right? For like who their network is,
Yeah,
who
who's your book of? It's like any
exactly.
sales. It's like any. Exactly. I'm so happy you said that because it's so true. It's like, do you know what you? And I've been telling people like, one of the things people that have like this little coaching course with like the distro list software, and I had this little mastermind conversation with them, and I was like, do you understand how powerful it is for you to pre-cultivate a list? All
Mhm.
right, if you have a list of people aligned with a certain sector, you can go to companies with that book of it's like a book of clients. It's like when I used to work in like sales floors, or when I used to run my own sales companies and I had a sales floor, and my sales manager would come to me and goes, yeah, we've got 3 different candidates here, sales guys that we could bring on. These 2 look decent, but number 3, he seems a bit lazy, but he's got a book of clients. Well, yeah, hire him.
Right.
Right.
Well, not a lazy salesperson, because they still want to make money, right? But they're just going to go to the people that they know. They've already cultivated the relationship.
Exactly. Yeah. Like having a pre-cultivated list is super important. And I can imagine in the financial sector, like even you as your strategic position, like if you've got like you said, your Rolodex, your distribution list, your network of pre-cultivated relationships where you can plug products in and you're specific to the financial bit, that's going to put you in an extremely leveraged position, like that you could demand whatever you want to demand just as your management fee. Like, okay,
Well,
we can plug you in.
yeah, it's been interesting, especially when I'm talking to some prospects and some clients in the space. They tried this. They tried to do it without a lot of success. They've either had, hey, they had this group of partners that they knew they really wanted to work with. They just didn't know anybody there. None of their emails got answered, right? They didn't know who to reach out to. And I did this for one of my clients. They gave me a list of like a dozen or so folks that they've been hounding for the last like two months, and I knew a couple of them, so I just reached out and got a response back immediately, because I've worked with them in the past. We have a good relationship. They know that I follow through on what we talk about. So I like to say that it's a relationship based industry, and relationships take time to cultivate. So if you're just getting into this channel, leverage an agency, leverage a network with a support team, leverage somebody in the space that could get your foot in the door. And even me, sometimes when I'm talking to folks that are in like a little bit of an adjacent industry, I have folks that I can go to that work with me on like a contractor basis, where they have those relationships. It's impossible for me to have all of the relationships, but I need to know the right people to help supplement that. And that's been a game changer for our business, being able to plug in the right people for the right clients.
Absolutely. And it's like you've got to like it just comes down to like cultivating those relationships and collaborating. Like everything that you said there was like, and that's the nature of affiliate marketing. Like you are essentially like it's outbound, you are collaborating at every level, and there's a product, you're representing a product that's basically acknowledging that, a company that acknowledges that that needs to happen. So they're basically slicing up the pie and saying, okay, well, this is what our margins are, how much do you need?
Right.
And it's like, it's like, well, and of course the longer drawn out, the more complex it is, the more the bigger the whole thing can get. But it's like that is the nature of it. And it isn't just this cookie cutter, like, let me just grab a few links and make a Pinterest page.
No.
It's
No.
beyond, it's way bigger than that.
Mm-mm.
And I feel like
I'm sure
I'd like,
people can make some. Sorry to interrupt. I'm sure people can make some money on that, so I don't want to knock it too much. But those aren't the relationships that we're forging
yeah,
for this client. So.
the money in affiliate marketing is finding a business, agreeing a fee, making sure that you're either going to get flat fee or a percentage of the deal or combination of both,
Right.
and start finding, find out who their ideal customers are, where they're at, and then whatever, whatever you need to do to make sure that you can market properly, as in within terms, within conditions, so your language is correct, and then signpost the hell out of them. And I use the word signpost because that's essentially what you're doing as an affiliate marketer. You're getting signposts up everywhere saying, come buy this thing that's over here.
I do think relevancy is very important, though. So one of the brands that we work with, we help them on the monetization side of the house too. So we help them in their affiliate role as well as their advertiser role, and they cater to a subprime audience. And sure, there's a lot of offers out there that'll pay us a lot of money specifically to get this audience to fill out a form with their information on it. But we're protective of the member base there, and we're very conscious about the offers that we put in front of them. So only things that are going to help them earn money, save money, or better manage their money because they're in that subprime space. That's what we put in front of them. It's not all just about your EPCs or your earnings per click, right? Like obviously that's how we prioritize the offers that we are working with, but they need to be additive to our member base. So definitely don't be exploiting your member base. Anybody out there?
Yeah, definitely. That's true. Yeah. Don't burn your bridges.
No.
But like, so when it comes and that experience that you talk about there, so that was sort of, you've kind of learned that over the years. That's taken years of like conditioning, essentially, like you just trialing, erroring, working within different environments. And then when you work, was it PayPal? Is that you start to work for like more like structured environments where you get to like really laser focus in certain areas. And then eventually you said, okay, I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna do this for me. And it's like, what was the transition there? Yeah.
So
Are we ready for it? Like,
I was on my maternity leave actually, and I had my 6-week-old daughter in one hand, and a former colleague had given me a call and it's like, hey, I'm at this tech startup and a fintech startup, and they're trying to do affiliates, but there's nobody here that really understands the space. Do you know anybody who could help? So I like look at my 6-week-old and I'm like, yeah, I could help. I can do it. And so I started doing just some consulting on the side for her, and that was a lot of fun. And I'm still working with them to this day. But coming from a company as large as PayPal, and then being able to work with a startup where you can enact a lot more change more quickly than you can for a large organization, that was really fun. And then I started to get a couple calls from other colleagues because the tech space in general was hit by a number of layoffs. So either folks were leaving or finding opportunities elsewhere. And since I was at PayPal as kind of the head of affiliates from a user acquisition standpoint, there was a pretty good network that knew me for that as my specialty. So I had a couple of folks that reached out, and then it reached a point where I really couldn't do both. I had to focus on one. So I chose AMP and affiliate marketing partners. And so I left PayPal at the end of 2023 and went full-time in this business in 2024. And I will say, again, I've been in this space for 13 years. So I've had speaking engagements. I've gone to the conferences. I've met with these folks. I've, have some longstanding relationships with folks that are in the industry. So I got really lucky. Somebody, for instance, saw me speak even before COVID, and we kept in touch over the years. And she manages agency relations at a platform. And so she's been referring, some of her clients to me. And that's been a really great, book of business for us. And we've been able to kind of leverage my network to stand some of this up. And it's reached a point where we hired somebody full-time that started this week, which is really exciting. We have a team of contractors that help out, and it's been growing, and it's been really exciting.
That's fantastic. Now I have one really important question about that story. Like it's, I think, the most important question. How the hell did you do that with a 6-month-old? Like, I mean, I have a 5-year-old, and I've got a baby girl about to turn 1 this month. And so let me just tell you, this last year has been extremely difficult. Like my decision-making ability has gone down the tubes just because of the lack of sleep. There are things that I've done in my business that now over the last over the last 8 months, I'm like, why did I even do that? Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, and you started up in that with a little one, like, and I guess it's handy that you got a revenue stream, but you still had to execute against the role. Like, you had to do a good job.
Yeah.
Like, how did you balance time and stuff like that? I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, I will say just, the decision to start it was not one that I took lightly. I definitely, you know, cried to my husband at one point, like, I'm wasting my maternity leave. Why am I doing this? It was a hard one, but I was thinking, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And she had always told me, I'm one of five. And so by the time all of us could drive, she kind of was a little lost for a little bit because she felt maybe like a lack of a sense of purpose, which I certainly wouldn't think that, but I get where she's coming from. So she's always kind of instilled in me, don't leave the workforce if you don't have to. And so I thought about my 6-week-old daughter and just, what kind of role model that I could be for her. So I thought, let's do this. Let's give this a try. And I thought that it could also, provide freedom in the future, which right now I'm definitely working more than I did before, but I think that's how it is in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it just, how when they say with children, it doesn't get easier, it just gets different.
Yeah.
It's the same with business.
Yeah.
Like, and it's the same with business until you get a lot of cash. And even when you start making a ton of money, I remember when I first started like generating $1 million a month, and I was like, I did it. But then I'm like, but I've got all this crap that I've got to deal with now. And then I start to like, okay, well, you know what? Get more people to deal with the stuff that I don't want to do. So hiring people, and then you just hired your first.
Yep.
As you'll know, that's kind of difficult too, because like I'm doing even more work because I have to teach them. I have to manage them. And it's like, because in the very beginning, when you don't have, because you hired, did you hire someone specific for like siloed for something specific?
Somebody that had deep affiliate marketing experience, but not necessarily in the fintech space. So I'll be teaching them the fintech space, but they understand the affiliate experience.
Yeah. So it's like you're hiring somebody like who's executing, but then like the easiest way is when you have a ton of money and you hire a manager, and then you let the manager hire the people that work underneath that siloed division. And it's like, because that way you can kind of take your hands off the wheel, because you're now just watching them and making sure they do their job. But if you're getting someone to execute on specific tasks to help you do your job better, people say, oh, just delegate. It's not that easy, because you're down now doing your thing and you're monitoring that thing like a hawk, because you haven't got management in place. You're just kind of doing more. Even if like sometimes freed up, you're still now having to process more just mentally because your business is growing, and it happens. But then you will get to the point where once you start to bring in management, and also, believe it or not, it was like, I remember getting like, so management, but then having someone different to do HR. So like, this is where you have to like, so now they can start recruiting for you too. And so now you can really start thinking about, your strategy as a whole. And I know that to be true for me. I've been down that road, and it's like, it's difficult. It is difficult, but you are growing, and that's good.
Yes, well, that's good feedback. That's definitely something for me to consider down. We're one in so far, so we have our contractor, but we have one full time. So we'll definitely have to consider some of that advice. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and jack your prices up. I don't know what you're pricing at, but I just know that if there's one thing you want to do every year is increase them.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of not, like, I just held on to a certain price range for a little while. And like for like year on year, and I was like, what? Like it wasn't a mentor as such, but just another person in business told me, kind of much like this conversation I'm having with you. It was like, guys, like, you need to constantly increase your prices, because the longer you do the job, the better you're getting at it, and it's like the faster you can deliver against it.
Right? Like, so I do think one thing along those lines, maybe we're getting like too tactical into the business, but there's the pricing aspect, but this is a pay per performance channel. So we have started to include more performance incentives in some of those deals, so that way we all have a little bit of skin in the game, right? The better we do for them, the better we do as a business. So,
pay on performance, and that's an interesting topic, because pay on performance is where I believe every company's headed. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't hide inside your businesses anymore. I think, there's a lot of shifts happening where people could hide inside of a company, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what's happening with the world? All these, they'll just look at like the news items about like, job losses and interest rates going through the roof. And it's like, they're kind of looking at it like, what a tragedy. I'm
Right.
safe. And it's like,
Right.
but it's like, that's going to change because I think what's happened through COVID's definitely been a massive, has really forced people, a lot more people to look at this, but it was going in this direction anyway,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like pay on performance is becoming more and more of a thing. It's,
Mm-hmm.
you've got outside sales teams, affiliate marketing. A lot of it is a pay. You will always have you should always be able to charge a retainer when you get bigger. You need to start like, hey, look, this is how much this is our setup fee.
Right.
Here's our,
Right.
here's our management fee. Okay, so we'll have pay on performance, but then there's also management fee. Like we manage the relationships everywhere. And if you want us to
Essentially,
communicate your thing more, like this is what we charge on a monthly, like any other agency, like
yeah.
any other
Essentially
marketing company.
minimum, right? Like this is our minimum, and then the performance is on top.
Yeah, it's like here's a 5K base, and then now everything else is 20% on pay on
Right.
performance. And here's our
Right.
track record, KPIs. Here's what we did with client XYZ, da da da. The usual sales pitch, right? But it's like, but you do want to, and also it makes sure a company's serious about it too. Like, if you're dealing with companies that are large enough, I mean, it can be difficult with the e-commerce space because some of them are super bootstrapped,
Yes.
and they've just maxed out all their cards, and the last thing
Right.
they need
And
is
their
another person.
margins, they've been doing free shipping to match Amazon. They've been doing, sales to match like the economic situation. I think the nice thing about this industry, and I like the paper performance because again, there's like that skin in the game, and you have the upside for both the client and for the agency. But I think it's really easy in this space to prove the value. This
Yeah.
is straight back to the bottom line, either straight back to your user acquisition goal, straight back to your return on ad spend goal. Like it's very easy to prove out the worth. We're not just saying, hey, we drove 1 million visitors to your site. We're saying we have this many signups for your platform. And we know that they're quality signups because we're only paying folks that are driving quality signups because we weeded out anybody who's driving, fraudulent traffic or low quality traffic. Like it's very easy to show the worth, at least in this industry, because it's all tied right back to numbers.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of software there as well that helps this industry too,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of ways that you can make that easier because it's like saying you can provide those reports is one thing, but it's not like you're like scribbling everything down into a
No,
spreadsheet and like trying to figure out
what a
how to make
nightmare.
a
Yeah.
table. It's like there is plenty of software that does this tracking for you, and you can parse through it and weed people out, and and you can see where who you could optimize, where you could place more incentive. It's all there, it's all trackable, it's all something that you can provide in reports, and it does. So I think also the industry is kind of supported by all this ancillary software that can just make you do the job way more professionally, I think too, right?
I think you need it at this point. I have managed programs that were in house, and I mean that used to be easier to do, but in this day and age, and especially in the finance space, it gets really really complicated because again, then you have to set up tracking for each individual partner. You have to set up reporting for each individual partner, and they have to get that reporting so that they can then optimize on it. You have to set up invoicing for each individual partner and make sure that they get paid out on it. It's just not a scalable solution. So partnering with a platform, it's worth the money.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so if we were looking, if so for the affiliate manager or affiliate, the person who wants to become an affiliate manager or marketer and wants to take it seriously, thinking about how they partner with businesses and start working to the effect, like it's always handy to start when you've got you have like you have somebody that already has
Yeah.
a way to. That's definitely helpful. But what would you say if you had advice to give to someone who was in that position, who was like looking at this conversation, who's listening to this conversation right now, thinking, okay, I want to get involved with this world. I don't want to do the whole Pinterest thing, but I do want to get in more seriously because I think I have a good ability to like source search and select based on, a company's requirements. And I think affiliate marketing could fit that for me. Like, would you have any advice for someone like that who's thinking about starting out in it?
So somebody that's starting out that's looking to be an affiliate themselves and make money through this space, or looking to drive user acquisition through affiliate partnerships, or both?
User acquisition. I think user acquisition through affiliate partnerships.
Yeah. So I think that's where, again, the platforms and the agencies are really going to give you the leg up. Even if the ultimate goal is to bring that in-house, work with an agency to help get you set up for 3 to 6 months and see if it's worth it from there.
Go with an agency first
I
because they're
honestly,
good at what they do.
yeah, if you don't have somebody in-house that has the experience, bring in an agency, they can help train somebody, right? Like that. A lot of people learn from their agency relationships. If you don't want to have an agency long term, that's fine. But honestly, if you're going to hire somebody to do it, like you said, you're talking $150,000 to $250,000 for
That's true.
to come in house. So you might as well leverage an agency that you have multiple resources that are operating on your behalf. So I it sounds biased coming from the agency founder, but leverage. And I've done this in the past when I was at other companies. I've leaned on agencies in the past to help with the management of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that they'll just put a job ad looking for an affiliate manager, but they don't know what they're getting. It's
Right.
like, and you know what? I always draw the comparable whenever I've had this conversation. It's like, well, when you looked at your first marketing person, your social media marketing person, and you just found somebody and they said a couple of things about Facebook that you didn't know, and then you thought, oh, that was good enough, and then they didn't really do a decent job. It's like, it's the same kind of deal. Okay, it's like then you eventually went to an agency and then they did it right. Okay, so it's the same kind of deal here. It's like you can find someone, you can just put the affiliate marketing hat on them and just say, good, go make friends. Or you can now essentially work with someone who has a very structured approach. Agencies, they've done it, they currently do it, and they will continue to do it whether you are involved or not. So it's a good way to jump on a train that's already in motion, and also tapping into those pre-cultivated relationships and distribution channels that they already have in play. Okay, what about the other side?
Yeah, well, just one more thing on if you want to hire somebody, one more thing on that. If you are opposed to the agency route and you do want this to stay in-house, then when you're looking for a candidate, look for folks that have either worked at a platform or that have managed in-house for large brands, or that has agency experience, because then you get a little bit of that in-house. I can't say whether or not they'll be a good candidate, but that's what I was looking for when I was hiring for my agency.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of fall into the realm of you end up being a recruitment partner. It's happened to me before. Like, well, how do we bring this in house? Well, I can find you somebody. Oh yeah, could you? 15 grand. Like, it's like, it can happen. Like, as an agency, you don't realize it, but because you're so involved, and companies like, how do we bring this in house? It's like, well, we can find you somebody. You know how many people we work with?
Right.
So that you end up throwing a placement fee on some. Okay, what about the other side for the affiliate, the affiliate entrepreneur, the person who wants to build their own affiliate marketing company? Remember, you had everyone who wanted to build their ad agencies. Then it was, I've got to go into SMMA. I want to build my social media marketing agency. Then it moved into, I'm going to make an influencer marketing agency. So the affiliates now coming up, right? So now, and it's a hairbreadth away from the influencers. So there's a lot of the people in that space who are thinking, oh, we could do affiliates too. What would you give? Would you give advice to anybody like that?
So if they're trying to build a network of affiliates, or if they're trying to be an affiliate themselves, because if they're trying to be an affiliate themselves, like
agency, trying to be an agency. They're trying to be you. They're trying to take food off your plate, Jessica.
Well then, no. I mean, when you're looking for affiliates, honestly, I think it's interesting when people do have a little bit of a narrower focus to start, right? Because you can go so wide, and that's not really going to be interesting to a lot of the advertisers that you're working with. So if you're big in finance, right, or maybe you're big in the CBD space, right, maybe you're big in shoes specifically, like maybe there's like something that makes sense for your niche, and then you target those affiliates and say, hey, we're going to be partnering with these brands specifically, that makes sense for your audience. So this is how we can help you get there. Honestly, that's not a terrible idea too, because there are a lot of sub affiliates in the space. There are a lot of networks in the space. There's a ton of brands in the space. It's hard to always form direct partnerships between an affiliate and a brand. So having somebody like an agency to kind of bridge that gap. For instance, I'm talking to a new shopping extension, very smart shopping extension, and they basically help support like the resale market, and they partner really closely with a lot of very large fashion brands, and they are trying to work with them directly for monetization purposes. It's hard to get in front of the right affiliate manager for, Versace, right? Or I don't know if Versace even has an affiliate program, but for like a large fashion brand. So having an agency like that, would be super helpful for these folks to be able to get in front of that. In terms of finding the right affiliates, find your niche. And then I'm sure if you have your niche and you have your focus, you probably know the people that you would want content to show up on, or
Absolutely. I always say like when people say niche down, narrow down, and then they throw in words like find your blue ocean. But these things are really important, because when you are essentially narrowing down to find your niche, that really is you looking for the place where there's less competition. And that just means if it's affiliates, it's like if they're not using affiliates, can they use affiliates? If they can, and there's a blue ocean there for you. There's a way in which you can do it.
Point. Yeah, it's a starting point. You can always grow from there, but it's just, you can't boil the ocean, right? Like there's so much that's out there and so many people that are focused on different things. I just mentioned CBD because I'm talking to somebody later today. Do you know how saturated that space is? That sounds like a niche space. There are hundreds.
It's overly oversaturated. It's like that the industry. It's weird because that industry is nowhere near what it will be. Yes. But it is already over. It's kind of like getting into the crypto space. It's like you're just, it's like trying to shout in a nightclub. It's like, it's not going to, so what? It's right. It's like you everybody's there right now. So it's like, it kind of goes down to that old saying about you got to travel the road less traveled. I think I just messed that whole statement up, but like, you get my point, right? It's like, go somewhere else, because it's like, if everybody's already there, then it's probably not going to be the most lucrative unless you have a very specific way of penetrating that market that can give you an edge. And it's not just like, oh, I'm going to be cheaper than them, I'm going to race to the bottom pricing. Like it's different. But I mean, CBD is awesome. I there's a couple of people I'm speaking to in that space as well, and I'm like, it's good. It's just, let's talk about that marketing, because how are you going to do it? Oh, we'll sell it through influencers. Okay, so that's everyone's plan. Right. So what's going to be different about this one?
Honestly, the payouts have gotten so competitive there, where I'm almost like questioning the margin. I'm like, who's is this backing out at the end of the day? But they have to be at a high payout to have folks interested in it. So it's an interesting space. Again, obviously my background being finance, I don't know too much about that space, so I'm kind of learning my way into it right now. But it's an interesting space for sure.
I mean, CBD, because of the nature of it, just leveraging word of mouth, and I think affiliate links through influencers are probably going to be the easiest way for you to get that. But like, not going for the biggest influencers, because they're already being hit up. Right. Like, you got to go for like the people with just like the micro nano. We're talking people with around 3,000, like to 10,000, where it's like they have a very close relationship with their audience. Right. And so when they recommend something that's, in direct competition with something that was already considered maybe a more of a well-known brand, they'll take that recommendation just because it's a closer relationship. It's like, it's kind of like if my buddy told me, hey, I want to buy something like that's branded like a Nike or something. And it's like, no, you need to try this.
Right.
It's trust me, you gotta try that. It's like, okay, because you're my friend, I'll trust you. That's what you want to leverage. You want to leverage that word of mouth connection.
Absolutely. And it'll be cheaper, but it is hard to scale.
It's hard to scale. You just got to raise a friggin' army. You got to raise an absolute army. Distro list.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Jessica, thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate you coming on. I love talking to people in the affiliate space, and you are so you're so knowledgeable in the area, and I can't wait to have another conversation with you as your company and your agency expands. Seems like you're going to be expanding outside the financial space too. So,
Potentially, yeah.
so maybe when we next have a conversation, you'd be like, yeah, so we do fitness, we do
Right.
like homeotherapy,
One
we
thing
do
at a time, yeah.
yeah. Well, now we're into pharmaceuticals,
Right.
licensed and unlicensed, who knows?
Anything in a regulatory space. There you go.
Yeah. All right, Jessica, thank you so much. Till next time.
All right. Thank you so much.